Brace yourself. GH's most explosive spoilers, heartbreaking drama, and shocking twists are here. The latest developments with Carly have me glued to the screen every single day, worrying like one of the family members myself. I remember when Carly first arrived in Port Charles all those decades ago, full of fire and determination, and here she is again, charging into danger without a second thought for her own safety. It feels both nostalgic and terrifying, because this time, the stakes involve innocent children and the kind of ruthless players that make the old mob wars look almost tame. What really caught my attention was how Carly accidentally overheard that tense conversation between Ross and Jens. Those two have been circling like sharks, and their plan to target Charlotte Cassadine to put pressure on Valentine is as cold-hearted as anything I have seen in recent years. Charlotte is just a young girl caught up in the Cassadine web through no fault of her own. I have always had a soft spot for the younger characters because they represent hope in this town full of secrets and betrayals. When Carly learned about the kidnapping plot, I completely understood why she could not sit still. She has that protective instinct that has defined her for years, especially when it comes to family and children who cannot defend themselves. Of course, Valentine tried to warn her about the WSB and how dangerous they can be. He spoke with such steel in his voice, and I found myself nodding along thinking, listen to him, Carly. This is bigger than your usual rescue mission. But that is not Carly's style, is it? She has never been one to wait for permission or backup when someone she cares about is at risk. I admire that about her, even when it scares me. In my opinion, this impulsiveness is both her greatest strength and her most frustrating flaw. It has saved lives in the past, but it has also caused chaos that ripples through the entire canvas of Port Charles. Picture this: Carly slipping out alone under the cover of night, steering that small boat across the dark waters towards Spoon Island. The imagery alone gave me chills. I could almost feel the cold spray on my face and the tension in my shoulders as she navigated the treacherous route. She has always been resourceful, drawing on every survival skill she has picked up through years of close calls and narrow escapes. Dodging the thick security presence on the island showed once again how capable she is when pushed to her limits. I kept thinking back to earlier storylines where Carly proved her toughness, and this felt like a natural evolution of that same fighting spirit. Yet here's where my heart really sank. Unknown to Carly, Jens had already set a psychological trap, waiting for her to walk right into it. Using her as leverage against Sunny is such a calculated move, and it fits perfectly with Jens's character, as someone who plays the long game with people's emotions. I have watched enough of these power struggles to know that the real danger often lies not in the physical obstacles, but in the mind games that follow. This trap could unravel everything, including the delicate plan to rescue Jocelyn, who is currently being held in what sounds like an incredibly precarious situation. Jocelyn has grown into such a strong young woman, and the thought of her mother's actions potentially complicating her rescue fills me with genuine concern. One of the things I love most about General Hospital is how one character's decision can create waves that affect so many others. Carly's solo mission is not just putting her own life in jeopardy, it is directly feeding into new troubles that Jens is preparing for Sunny, Jocelyn, and even Liesl. Liesl has her own complicated history with these players, and I cannot help wondering how her medical expertise or sharp wit might come into play as this story unfolds. Will she be forced to make impossible choices to protect those she cares about? These connections make the drama feel so rich and interconnected, which is exactly why I have stayed loyal to the show for so long. I have to ask myself, and I bet many longtime viewers are asking the same thing, is Carly walking into a situation she cannot handle this time? The answer, based on what we have seen so far, seems to be a cautious maybe. She has surprised us before with her resilience, but Jens and Ross represent a different level of threat. They are organized, patient, and willing to use children as pawns. That kind of villainy always raises the temperature of the story, and I find myself both dreading and anticipating the confrontations ahead. What will Sunny do when he learns about Carly's involvement? Their complicated relationship has been through so many chapters, and this could either bring them closer together or create fresh wounds that take years to heal. Another question that keeps me up at night is how this will impact Charlotte. She has already faced enough uncertainty in her young life. If Carly's intervention somehow prevents the kidnapping, it would be a heroic win, but if it backfires, the consequences could be devastating. I truly believe the writers are building towards something powerful here, perhaps a moment where multiple generations come together to face a common enemy. That is the kind of storytelling that keeps me invested after all these years. It reminds me of the classic rivalries and alliances that made General Hospital must-see television in the first place. Personally, I think Carly's heart is in the right place, even if her methods are reckless. She represents that part of all of us that refuses to stand by when injustice is happening. In a world that sometimes feels too cynical, characters like her give us permission to believe in courage and quick thinking. At the same time, I worry that her actions might force others, particularly Sonny, into even riskier positions. Sonny has his own battles to fight, and adding Carly's safety to the list could stretch him thin. Yet that is what makes this show so compelling, the way love and loyalty keep pushing people beyond their limits. I have been thinking a lot about how this storyline echoes some of the great adventures from the past while still feeling fresh. The boat trip to Spoon Island in the dead of night brought back memories of other daring rescues, but the psychological trap element adds a modern layer of suspense that feels very now. Jen Sidwell is proving to be a formidable adversary, someone who understands that controlling information and emotions is often more powerful than brute force. Ross seems to be playing a supporting role that could either solidify his loyalty or crack under pressure as things intensify. As I watch these episodes, I find myself talking back to the screen more than usual, urging Carly to be careful while secretly cheering her on. That is the magic of this show. It pulls you in so deeply that you feel like you are part of the family. The tension surrounding Jocelyn's rescue is particularly heart-wrenching because we have watched her grow up and face her own challenges. Knowing that her mother's bravery might inadvertently complicate things creates such a layered conflict that I cannot look away. Looking ahead, I am excited to see how Valentine reacts once he learns what Carly has done. His warnings were so pointed, and he carries the weight of knowing just how dangerous these forces can be. Will he step in to help despite his frustrations? Or will this create new rifts within the Cassadine circle? These questions keep the story humming with possibility, and I have faith that the upcoming episodes will deliver satisfying payoffs while raising even more intriguing dilemmas. What strikes me most is how this plot highlights the theme of protection: who deserves it, who is willing to risk everything to provide it, and what the true cost might be. Carly's decision to act alone embodies that theme perfectly. She is not thinking about the glory or the thanks she might receive. She is simply refusing to let a child become collateral damage. In my view, that makes her one of the most relatable and enduring characters in the history of the show. Sure, she makes mistakes, but her intentions are almost always rooted in love. I also appreciate how the story is weaving in Liesl. She brings a unique perspective with her intelligence and history, and I hope we see her play a pivotal role in resolving some of these dangers. Whether through medical intervention or clever strategy, her involvement could provide the balance this high-stakes situation needs. It is these ensemble moments that remind me why I fell in love with General Hospital in the first place. They are no longer just kids caught in the adult drama. They are actively trying to uncover truths that could change everything. The two of them heading to Windermere in search of hidden answers is pure General Hospital magic that Old Estate has held so many secrets over the years, and it seems ready to reveal another layer. What really has me on the edge of my seat is their discovery related to the WSB's involvement with Jason and Valentine. Danny and Charlotte are piecing together clues that point to a major secret the agency has been guarding. This is not just another teen adventure. It is proving to be one of the biggest explosions in the current storyline. I love how the show is letting the younger generation contribute meaningfully. Danny has always shown that quiet determination inherited from his father, and Charlotte carries the Cassadine intelligence mixed with vulnerability. Together, they make a compelling team. In my opinion, this search at Windermere is causing a necessary shift in the narrative. It is forcing adjustments in the plans everyone else has been making, especially around the threats from Jens and Ross. The WSB connection to Jason and Valentine adds such rich layers of betrayal and loyalty. Jason has been through so much, and Valentine's warnings to Carly now feel even more urgent knowing what these kids might uncover. Will Danny and Charlotte find the exact evidence they need? I believe they will, but not without complications that raise the stakes higher. This development ties beautifully into Carly's risky mission. While she is navigating dangers on Spoon Island to protect Charlotte, the girl herself is taking brave steps at Windermere alongside Danny. It creates this wonderful parallel of generations fighting the same battle from different angles. I keep asking myself how Sonny will react when he learns about his son's involvement. Jason's link to the WSB secret could bring him back into the center of the conflict in a powerful way.